first indication that the music was suffering came with the release of the third Oasis album, Be Here Now. The fans loved it, but many critics regarded it as just a tad excessive.
We were talking about this the other night, because it's got its staunch supporters within our camp. And I think the official line now is that if you could go back and listen to it on the day that it came out, it would still sound great, but it just didn't stand the test of time. And it's all right people saying, oh, but you know, all the songs are great and all that, but at the end, we don't play them songs live since that tour, never have done. And I don't hear anybody shouting in the crowd for all around the world, you know. So it wasn't a disaster, you know. It was just a kind of it was a mad time, you know. And the clue to that title is in the album, you know. It was all about then.
Their next album also failed to live up to expectation. Standing on the Shoulders of Giants was undermined first with the departure of Gwigsy and Bonehead, and for Noel, for the first time in his career, the real pressure of writing an album from scratch.
That was the one where I felt the pressure more than anything, because I had to sit down for the first time in... When did that come out? 98? No, 99. I sit down for the first time in 5 years with no songs and create something. And I got a bit bogged down in trying to reinvent something that didn't need reinventing. But all the lyrics to that album are amazing. And I think that there's some real proper pieces of music on that, like Fucking in the Bushes and Gas Panic and Go Let It Out.
Roll It Over?
Yeah, there's some Where Did It All Go Wrong and Little James. But it was kind of, you know, we were all coming out of the party, and it was like recording an album with a serious hangover.
Oasis at this point were as close to meltdown as they had ever been. Founding members were leaving, the albums were getting less than positive reviews, there were problems with the record company, and even their own interest was waning.
You know, we'd be speaking to Al and he'd be saying everything's all right, but then we'd be talking to Marcus, our manager, and he'd be saying it's not all right, you know. And then, unbeknown to us, Bonehead and Gwigsy were plotting to leave, and we were all kind of going our separate ways, really. I suppose to make you understand fully, you would have to understand the mindset. And nobody gave a fuck. Not in an half-arsed kind of way. But you know, when you're on the way up like that, right, it's the most vital thing in your life. But you know, there comes a point where you just can't be asked. Because maybe you've had a bit too much success. But you know, and it's not, I don't think, like I say, there's about 6 or 7 great pieces of music on that. That kind of speaks for itself, and I stand by every single word of those lyrics. They're fantastic.
At this point, Oasis recorded Heathen Chemistry, an album Noel rightly regards as pivotal in the band's career, both in terms of a return to form and the integration into the band of new members Gem and Andy.
I've been in a couple of bands and got tired of it all. And I got this call, and if there was one band that I would have, you know, made a big life-changing decision for, it would definitely be Oasis, you know, hardly anyone else. Well, no one else. It flew over, played with them for a few days, and it seemed to work, and then I was asked to join. Gem was already in. He'd been like cherry-picked, hadn't he?
Well, he was the first person we asked because he wasn't doing anything, and we knew him. And his band, Heavy Stereo, was quite similar to ours. It was a very easy decision for all of us to make, I think.
Early in the midnight hour for me to go through all the things that I wanna be. I don't believe in everything I see. You know I'm blind, so why do you disagree? Take me away, 'cause I just don't wanna stay. And the lies you make me say are getting deeper every day. These are crazy days, but they make me shine. Time
latest Oasis album, Don't Believe the Truth, has been welcomed as their best in 10 years. And despite some minor troubles in the recording, it's marked by an easy confidence and sharing in the songwriting department, with Noel only contributing 5 of the songs.
People always ask this about me, about sharing the songwriting. Like I'm some crazy old fucking Scrooge who lives in a tower, you know, and it's all mine, it's all mine. This is a band where it's about time these fuckers got their finger out. It's not me sharing the songwriting, it's everybody else contributing. So it's not me giving anything away, it's them joining in. You know, I've always wanted to be part of a band in its truest, in the true meaning of the word. I used to have to write 30 songs for an album, right, and pick the best 16 for all the B-sides. I wrote 30 songs last year, we've used 5. I don't have to work until 2012 for the Olympics start. I'm serious. Get on that. Bet you'd love being in that position, wouldn't you? I would not do not a stroke. I can unequivocally tell you that the word panic never comes into my vocabulary at all.
It was more like...
It was 3 years of leisure.
It was more like, this is not really working, is it? No.
Well,
should we take a month off and then talk about it in a month?
Seriously. But we started off with a bunch of songs that we thought were great. It quickly dawned on us that while we were doing them, no, they weren't that great. Yeah. Now, my whole thing is, it's not working, you know, and there's no point in trying to throw any more shit against the wall there, nothing's sticking. I'm going on holiday. I invite you all to do the same. So it'd be like a month pass and then we'd reconvene. We were written off after Standing on the Shoulder Giants, written off as a nostalgia act that would travel the world playing stadiums with absolutely nothing new to offer anybody. We had to make a record, not for anybody else other than our fans, you know, because we'd lost them. Not live, we could still sell out Wembley Stadium, but we had to make a record that inspired the people that got into us in the first place. And we did. And we also had to, it was the first record we'd made together, and we also had to learn. It wasn't scary. I wasn't going into the studio scared, but it's like, it's a different thing being on stage and going, these are the songs we're going to play, and they're the parts. I'll see you in the dressing room for a drink, you know. We're all professional musicians and we can do that. Being in the studio, trying to create something from scratch, you don't know how that's going to work, you know, because some musicians are different animals in the studio than they are on stage. You know, there's a lot of bluff, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. You're kind of performing on stage. When you're in the studio, you kind of got to look each other in the eye and say, I'm not having that, that's shit, oh, that's great, you know. So that was, I used the word difficult, but it wasn't like a struggle, but it was kind of, fucking hell, is this going to work? Are we going to be able to make a record together? And it became obvious in about 20 minutes it was going to be great.
The success of the latest Oasis album has restarted the age-old debate amongst critics of what makes a great Oasis album. It's one Noel has little time for. He's just happy it's good.
The whole thing about Oasis has taken me by surprise. You know, I knew we were a pretty good band, but if somebody would have said to me, you know, however many years ago it is, we'd have done what we've done and still be around to tell the tale. You know, I would kind of accepted it, but it's not something that you can. It still amazes me. Do you know what I mean? I think we've ascended to a place now where kind of you two are. You know, when people say, if someone was to say to you, what kind of music do you two make? It's kind of unanswerable. They don't make any kind of music. They make U2 music. And I think we've got to a place now where you can't pigeonhole Oasis, because for every term that you give it, like, well, it's rock and roll, and you think, oh, well, is Songbird rock and roll? And you say, oh, well, they write these big ballads, and you think, well, is the meaning of soul a ballad? As some might say, but I don't think so. So we've managed to carve out our own place in music, which is that we make Oasis music. It doesn't get any better than that, I don't think. The one thing we never do is sit down and put our album on a couch and psychoanalyse it, because it'll take the magic out of it. It's just great because it is, and thank the Lord that it is, because the next one might be shit. And you know, the next time we go to make a record and we put it out and people say it's shit, we won't know why it's shit. And I don't know why this one's great, but it is. So give thanks and praise.